Do you ever feel like the words are inside you, but they won't come out? You want to speak English. You've studied for years, but when the moment comes, your voice disappears. I know how that feels. This isn't a textbook lesson. This is my story. A simple one, but it changed my life. And it all started with one sentence. My name is Lena, and I live in a quiet village in northern Vietnam. For most of my life, English was something I learned on paper. We had lessons in school, grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, but no speaking, no conversations, no real practice. I liked English, I really did, but I didn't know how to use it. I couldn't speak, I was too scared, until the day everything changed. It was a warm afternoon. I went to the local market with my older brother to buy vegetables, tomatoes, onions, a few eggs. Then something unusual happened. A foreign man walked into the shop. He looked lost, holding a folded map and a bottle of water. His eyes moved quickly, searching. He asked the shopkeeper something in English, but the shopkeeper didn't understand. He just smiled politely and turned away. The man looked around and saw me. He took one step forward and asked, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" My heart stopped. I froze. It was the first time someone had ever asked me that in real life. My hands were shaking. I wanted to disappear, but something inside said, "Just try." So I did. I took a breath, looked into his eyes, and says, "A little." He smiled, a kind smile. Then he asked, "Can you tell me where the nearest ATM is?" I knew the place. It was 2 streets away, next to the post office. But how do I say that? I panicked for a second. Then I closed my eyes. I saw the street in my mind. I visualized the path. I opened my mouth and said, "Go straight, turn right. ATM is near the post office." He nodded. "Thank you so much." I smiled. "You're welcome." He waved and walked away. I stood there, still, quiet, but something in me had shifted. I felt like the world had opened just a little wider. It was just 2 short sentences, but they were mine. My first real words in English, used in a real situation. And they worked. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept hearing my own voice. Go straight, turn right. It wasn't perfect English, but it was communication. And that felt amazing. That small moment lit a fire in me. I thought, if I can say one sentence, maybe I can say more. That night, I made a quiet promise to myself. I will learn to speak English. Not just study it, speak it. I didn't have a smartphone back then, no online courses, but I had a notebook. I had curiosity. I had hope. So I started. I watched cartoons in English on my brother's old laptop. I paused and repeated lines out loud. I listened to simple English songs and wrote the lyrics by hand. I asked my brother to practice with me. We took turns saying, "How are you? What's your name? Where are you going?" At first, it felt silly. We laughed a lot. But every time I opened my mouth, I felt a little stronger. Then one day, my neighbor told me about a new English class in town. I joined it the very next week. The classroom was small, only 8 students, but our teacher, Miss Han, was unforgettable. She walked in, looked at all of us, and said, "In this room, we speak. We don't wait until we're perfect." She smiled and added, "Mistakes are welcome here." It was the first time I heard a teacher say that. She asked each student, "Why do you want to learn English?" Someone said, "To get a better job." Another said, "To study abroad." When it was my turn, I stood up slowly and said, "I want to talk to people." She looked at me and said softly, "That's the best reason of all." Our class was different from anything I had ever known. We didn't read from big grammar books. We played games. We asked each other simple questions. We told short stories. We even acted out little conversations. One time, I had to pretend to order food at a restaurant. I was nervous, but I said, "Can I have some noodles and tea, please?" Everyone clapped. That day, I walked home smiling like a child. Miss Han had a special rule. She said, "Speak at least one English sentence every day, even if it's only to yourself." So I did. I spoke to the mirror. "Hello, how are you?" I described what I saw. "The sun is bright today." I whispered new words as I walked to school. Each sentence was a small step, but each step took me forward. Then came a turning point. One of my classmates told me that a cafe in town was hiring part-time staff, and the manager wanted someone who could speak a little English. I wasn't sure I was ready, but I remembered the market, the man, my first sentence, so I said yes. On my first day at the cafe, I wore my best shirt. I arrived early. My hands were sweating. The manager, a kind woman named Miss Land, greeted me with a big smile. "Good morning, you must be Lena?" I nodded. "Yes, I am." She showed me the cafe, the counter, the tables, the kitchen. Then she said, "Don't worry, take your time. We all make mistakes." I felt a little braver. I also met a young man named Alex. He was from Canada and had been working there for 6 months. He said, "Welcome, Lena. If you need help, just ask." I smiled and replied, "Thank you. I will." The cafe was busy, and I had to use English almost immediately. A customer walked in and asked, "Can I get an iced coffee and a sandwich?" My heart jumped, but I smiled and said, "Yes, of course." I turned to Alex and repeated the order. He helped me prepare the tray. When I served the customer, I said, "Here you are." She smiled. "Thank you," I replied. "You're welcome." I had just completed my first full English interaction at work. That night, I lay in bed and thought, I spoke English with strangers today. Not in a classroom, not for homework, in real life. And I was okay. I made mistakes, but no one laughed. They understood me. They helped me. Each day after that, I grew more confident. I started learning naturally. I didn't sit and memorize lists. I heard the same sentences over and over at the cafe. Would you like sugar? Eat in or take away? Enjoy your drink. And without realizing it, I started using them too. Each phrase became a part of me. One day, a British tourist came in. Her coffee spilled a little. I quickly helped her clean it. She smiled and said, "Thank you." I replied, "No problem." Then she asked, "Are you from here?" I said, "Yes, I live nearby." We talked for 5 minutes. Nothing complicated, just simple, friendly words. Before she left, she said, "Your English is really nice." I said, "Thank you, I'm learning." She gave me a thumbs up. "Good job. Keep going." That evening, I didn't just feel happy. I felt proud. Not because I spoke perfect English, but because I spoke. Because I tried. That little girl who once froze in the market was now talking to foreigners, taking orders, and making friends. All because of one small moment. One small sentence. Yes, a little. That sentence started my journey, and it taught me this. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need the courage to begin. If your outro caught English Journey, let this be your reminder. Start small. Start today. Start with one sentence. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Don't wait. One sentence can change your life. It changed mine. Have you ever spoken English and felt embarrassed about how you sound? Do you hear your own voice and think, that doesn't sound right? I used to feel that way too. But something changed. In this video, I'll tell you how I trained my mouth, my ears, and my confidence without a perfect accent, without a teacher by my side. This is the part of my story where I found my voice. The morning sun had just risen. I was getting ready for another shift at the cafe. But this time, I felt different. I remembered what Miss Han, my English teacher, had told us the day before. If you want to speak clearly, you must listen clearly, shadow the sounds, copy the rhythm, say it like a song. She taught us about something called shadowing. At first, I didn't understand. Shadowing? Like chasing your own shadow? No, it's something much more powerful. It means listening to someone speak English and repeating immediately like an echo. Not later, not after thinking, right away. You become their shadow. That morning, before going to work, I sat by the window with my brother's old phone. I searched for a video, simple English conversations with clear pronunciation. I found one. A woman was talking slowly with kindness in her voice. She said, "Hi, my name is Anna. I'm going to the store. Do you want to come?" I played it once, then again. The third time, I shadowed her. "Hi, my name is Anna. I'm going to the store. Do you want to come?" I said it aloud, matching her rhythm. I listened again. I copied again. I stood in front of the mirror. I watched how my mouth moved. Not perfect. Not yet, but better than yesterday. When I arrived at the cafe, I felt ready. Miss Lan, the manager, smiled and said, "Lena, today you'll be at the counter. You'll take orders." My heart raced, but I nodded and said, "Okay, I'll do my best." The first customer came in. A young man in a green shirt said, "Can I have a hot tea and a banana muffin, please?" I smiled, stood tall, and replied clearly, "Yes, one hot tea and one banana muffin." He nodded. He understood. It was a small moment, but inside me, it felt huge. Throughout the day, I used everything I practiced in shadowing. I said thank you with the same tone as the woman in the video. I said, "Here you are," like I had heard on the podcast. I slowed down my speech, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to speak with care. One customer looked at me and said, "Your English sounds nice." I smiled wide and said, "Thank you. I'm learning every day." That moment stayed in my heart for a long time. After work, I went home, tired but curious. I played the same video again. But this time, I tried to match the emotion, not just the words. "Hi, my name is Anna. I'm going to the store. Do you want to come?" I closed my eyes. I listened. I became Anna. I recorded my voice. Then I played it back. I noticed my R sounds were soft. My TH sounds weren't strong enough. So I practiced again and again. This wasn't punishment. It felt like music practice, like learning a song in a new language. The next day at school, I shared my shadowing routine. Miss Han smiled and said, "Excellent, Lena. Keep doing that. One day, your mouth will remember the sounds even before your brain does." We practiced shadowing as a class. She played a short sentence. "I like to cook dinner with my family." We all repeated. Some students laughed. Some messed up, but nobody judged. Then she paired us into teams. I sat with Diego, a boy from Brazil. He said, "When I practice at home, I talk to myself in the mirror. Like this, 'Hello, Diego, how are you today?'" I laughed. Then I said, "I want to try that too." He nodded. "It works. You get used to your voice." That night, I stood in front of my mirror. I looked at myself and said, "Hello, Lena. How was your day?" Then I answered, "It was good. I went to school. I went to work. I practiced shadowing." I smiled at my own reflection, For the first time, I didn't feel shy in front of myself. It felt empowering. The more I practiced, the more natural it became. I sang along with English songs. I repeated phrases from movies. I spoke to myself while washing dishes. I'm cleaning the cup. This plate is dirty. Now I'm done. Simple phrases, but spoken. One afternoon, I met Tom, a new worker at the cafe. He was from New Zealand. Friendly, funny, always smiling. He asked, "So, Lena, how long have you been learning English?" I said, "Since I was in school, but I only started speaking a few months ago." He nodded. "You sound great, clear and confident." I felt warm inside, not because he said I was perfect, but because he noticed my effort. One day, after the cafe closed, I stayed behind to clean. Tom was wiping the tables and humming a tune. He said, "You know what helped me when I learned Vietnamese?" I looked up. "What?" "I watched cartoons, kids' shows. The language is simple, but the emotion is real." That night, I went home and searched for English cartoons. I found one called Charlie in the Forest, a gentle story about a boy and his bear friend. The sentences were easy, the voices were warm. I did shadowing again. I watched Charlie say, "Look, a butterfly." I said it too. I said it again. I smiled. It wasn't just practice anymore. It was joy. Over time, I created a routine. Morning, 10 minutes of shadowing. Afternoon, speak at work. Evening, self-talk in the mirror. Before bed, watch one English video and repeat out loud. Each day, just 30 minutes total. But it changed everything. Not just my pronunciation, not just my confidence. It changed my relationship with English. I no longer saw it as a scary mountain to climb. Now it felt like a river I could swim in. Sometimes the current was strong, sometimes it was calm, but I was moving forward. And then came a very special day. A woman from Australia came into the cafe. She dropped her wallet. I picked it up and gave it to her. She looked surprised and said, "Oh, thank you, dear. That was very kind." I said, "You're welcome." She paused, looked at me and asked, "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "How long have you been speaking English?" I smiled. "Not very long, but I practice every day." She nodded slowly and said, "Well, keep going. You're doing beautifully." That evening, I walked home in the soft light of sunset. I looked up at the sky and whispered, "I can speak. I really can." Not perfectly, not like a native, but with confidence, with joy, with clarity. All because I listened, I shadowed, I spoke. So, if you want to speak English confidently, here's what I learned. Don't wait until you're perfect. Practice shadowing, even just 10 minutes a day. Talk to yourself. Talk to your mirror. Talk to the world. Use your voice every single day. You don't need expensive courses. You don't need to memorize every rule. You just need to try. If this video inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What's the first sentence you want to say in English today? Because one sentence can open the door. And when you walk through it, you'll find your voice too. Stay tuned for Part Thy, where I'll share how I learned grammar naturally, without fear, and how real English became part of my real life. I used to hate grammar. Past tense, present perfect, irregular verbs, it all confused me. I opened a grammar book once and closed it after 5 minutes. But today, I speak clearly. I use tenses naturally. I understand grammar rules without ever memorizing them. How? In this video, I'll share the real way I learned grammar without studying rules, without doing boring exercises, and without fear. Let me tell you the real story. It was a quiet Sunday morning. No school, no cafe shift, just me, sitting by the window with a cup of warm tea. I looked at my old English notebook, pages filled with grammar rules I didn't understand. I remembered writing, present simple equals subject verb base form, past simple, exceptions, go went, do did. My brain hurt. I whispered to myself, there has to be another way. And then I remembered what Miss Hahn once said. Grammar is like music. You don't need to study it. You just need to feel it. That day, I decided no more memorizing rules. I would learn grammar the way I learned my first language, by listening, reading, and speaking. I opened a short English story on my phone. It was about a girl named Mia and her dog Max. Simple sentences. Mia walks her dog every day. Yesterday, she walked to the park. I paused. Walk, walked. That was the past tense. But I didn't need a rule. I saw it. I felt it. I whispered to myself, walk, walked. Today I walk. Yesterday I walked. Something clicked. That night, while brushing my teeth, I said I brush my teeth every day. Then I added, yesterday I brushed my teeth at 9 p.m. I laughed. Suddenly I was practicing grammar in the bathroom with a toothbrush, not a grammar book in sight. At the cafe, I listened more carefully. One day, Miss Lan said, Tom is making sandwiches. I'm cleaning the counter. Present continuous. Is making, is cleaning. Not because I studied it, because I heard it, I whispered, I'm learning English. I'm working today. Every time I heard someone speak, I noticed the tense. I copied it. I used it. One evening, I went back to the same story about Mia and Max. This time, I focused on questions. Do you walk your dog every day? Did you go to the park yesterday? Do present. Did, past. I repeated them out loud. Then I created my own. Do I like coffee? Yes. Did I drink coffee yesterday? Also yes. I wasn't just learning grammar. I was living it. Later, I found a website with very short grammar stories. No long explanations, just examples. I read, he plays football. They went to the cinema. She is cooking dinner. Each time, I repeated the sentence out loud. Then I changed it. I play football. We went to the cafe. He is learning English. Every sentence became a little game. My teacher once said, if you can use it, you understand it. If you only memorize it, you forget. She was right. I used English every day, at work, at school, at home, and that's how grammar became clear. One day in class, we had a small quiz. Miss Hahn read a sentence. I ate dinner at 7 p.m. Then she asked, is it past or present? Everyone answered, past. Then she said, why? I raised my hand. Because of ate. That's the past of eat. She smiled. Very good. Did you study that rule? I shook my head. No, I just heard it in a story. She laughed. That's the best way to learn. After class, I walked to the cafe, repeating words in my head. I work at the cafe. I worked yesterday. I am working now. I looked around and spoke quietly to myself. Tom is making coffee. The customer is waiting. She paid for her tea. This wasn't studying. This was living English. At home, I played short YouTube videos with subtitles. One was about a girl who traveled to Canada. She said, I arrived last month. I'm staying with my aunt. I love this city. I repeated her words. I wrote them down. Then I made new ones. I arrived at the cafe early today. I'm staying with my cousin this week. I love this job. Little by little, Sentence by sentence, grammar became natural. On weekends, I recorded myself. I spoke about my day. Today is Saturday. I woke up at 7 a.m. I made tea. I read a story. I cleaned my room. I felt happy. Then I listened. I checked my verbs. I listened for mistakes. If I heard something wrong, I said it again, the right way. I wasn't afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes were my teachers. And then something amazing happened. One night I had a dream. In the dream, I was talking to a tourist in the cafe. She asked me, "Did you go to the beach yesterday?" I answered, "Yes, I went with my friends." When I woke up, I realized I had spoken English in my dream. Correct grammar, natural words. I smiled. My brain was finally thinking in English. Now, when someone asks, "How did you learn grammar?" I say, "I listened, I read, I spoke, I noticed." That's it. No rules. No stress. Just real English used in real life. If you're tired of grammar books, if you're afraid of tenses and rules, then do what I did. Read simple stories, listen to short podcasts, repeat real sentences, speak about your day, and let grammar find you. Don't wait to be perfect. Speak now. Speak often. Speak like grammar is your friend. Nana, if this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What's one sentence you said in English today? You're not just learning grammar. You're building a life with English, and you're doing great. If you watched this far, remember this. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need one small sentence, one brave moment. That's how it begins. Whether you're speaking to yourself in the mirror, helping a stranger at a cafe, or practicing with a friend, every word matters. Every mistake is a step forward. Every moment you try is a moment you grow. So keep speaking, keep listening, keep learning. English is not just a language, it's a bridge to new people, new dreams, and new opportunities. Now it's your turn. What was your first sentence in English? Share it in the comments. Let's celebrate every beginning together. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more inspiring stories and simple English learning tips. We post new videos every week just for learners like you. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, and never give up. See you in the next video.